When an introvert gets dating tips from anime. Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Novolov. As someone who's grown up with anime, you can imagine that I have stated in the past that I didn't have that many friends, but I did somewhat in high school. It was more of the fact that most of my friends knew me for being one of those people that just severely loved anime a lot more than others, and anime at that point wasn't really popular. Like I said in a couple videos ago, anime wasn't that quite popular back in my high school days. You can understand that someone who watches anime and is very in tune with it, especially during high school, I was not that much social with anyone, and I always grew up as an introverted kid, mainly because of the fact that I had special education as a kid in elementary school, so I wasn't really that much around that many kids growing up in school. But when I was first introduced to anime, I just loved watching it so much, so it just consumed my mind and my thoughts and how I conducted myself at that time. And I try not to let it do that to me anymore, mainly because of the fact that, hey, I got work experience now and the real world is not just anime watching all day long. So as I started to grow up, I was still introverted as a kid. When it came to dating, especially during my high school years, there were some points where I did confess to certain girls, that I actually liked back then. One of them, and I will remember this to this day, because she only decided to go out with me for just a week, but just said no. I kind of had someone on the side, but it didn't really hurt me, mainly because of the fact that she told me that so soon after that, and I thought all of my anime recollection, everything that I had learned on many romance anime that I had watched, that I did something right, that I was gonna go to my peak point where I would have like this long relationship from my early high school days all the way until I graduated high school, and even years down the line throughout adulthood, that I would just be spending all this time with this selected individual that I was madly in love with. But my little weeb heartbreak was very short-lived, mainly because of the fact that I had relied so much on anime just to pick me back up from a lot of the failed attempts to try and date someone. Even then, I still went based off of what I had learned in many anime, that it's okay to have feelings towards someone even though you don't know much about them, which was kind of a stupid idea in my mind now that I'm thinking back to it. But at that point in time, that's all I knew, mainly because of the fact that I didn't have that many friends and I relied so much on anime. But I also got some advice from my friends, and they're like, why are you thinking in that way, trying to give me advice. And at that point in time, I was such a naive kid. I relied so much on anime to help me with my relationship status and goals that I had in mind, because I watched so much romance. Like I said before, I'm a very big romance weeb, and if you think of it like that, you'll understand why I relied so much on romance anime to guide me into like relationship status for some reason. It's kind of a dumb sentiment that I had when I was in high school. When I pushed that idea onto my friends, I had lost a lot of my friends due to the fact that I had like this radical idea that if someone just rejected me or just didn't want to be with me, then it was just the end of the world and that they are the worst person in the world. Which in hindsight, I don't know why I even thought of relationships in that way, because a relationship starts only when you've had a very long connection with a friend for a very long time, and that's how my thought process is now. But back then, I thought that if someone rejected me, they were the worst person in the world. They deserved to go to hell for some reason. I thought in my mind that I had done everything that I could to provide all these gifts and stuff like that to the girls that I liked, thinking that that was enough to gain their love, which it really wasn't. And I based that solely based on the experience of watching these romance anime where the MC would always give these little presents to the girls that they liked in the anime. And for some reason, I just wanted to replicate that sort of thing, because I thought that that was the the right way of conducting myself, of having somewhat of riz, thinking that that would work out for me. Throughout my entire high school days, never once had a single date. I am not embarrassed to say that because you have a lot of people in high school that, for one, I once had a friend that in our sophomore year of high school, he had told me that he was going to have a kid with another classmate that was a grade above us. I was like, what the heck did you get yourself into? For the most part, I was like saying congratulations at first, mainly because of the fact that it was so sudden. Myself as a kid, I did not know how to interpret that, but as an adult, obviously that's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? But as a kid, I was like, man, good job, congratulations. Seeing that as like an achievement, which, in hindsight, having a kid, it is an achievement. But at the same time, as a teenager having a kid, it's kind of concerning because obviously all that responsibility weighs down on a person that's still in development. And that idea really does scare me, and thinking about it now, because as myself, I've been single, like I said, for quite a long time. I'm not really embarrassed in that sense because more recently, and I can't say what time frame it was, but I did go out on my first date, and it was an absolute blast of a first date because not only did I like anime, but the other person liked anime. So there was just so many things in common, and thinking back to it, I was like, you know what? I don't have to go based off of romance anime. I don't have to be the MC that I see in all of these romance animes where they're always constantly just fawning over the girl, and if they don't get the attention back to them, then they're the worst person in the world. No, I didn't go into this date like that mindset in my brain. I did something for her, and she also did something for me as well, which when I mean did something, we took turns paying for each other's meal, or even just like little tiny little gifts. That sentiment felt much more fulfilling than an unnecessary gift that is just supposed to be extravagant, that it's everything in the world, which it really is not. And that's something that I had learned from an anime that was like a dumb flaw that I had as a kid, and I overcame that. And I think, when it comes to dating, I don't necessarily favor that as priority one like I used to anymore. Whoever I meet in life, I always try to befriend them first before I even think like, oh my god, that girl is hot, I must try everything to be with her. No, I'm just like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing well? And I ask more of those personal questions like, hey, how are you doing? Or how has your day been? It's been tough. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, You'll definitely get through it if you've already made it this far. Giving people words of motivation and self-affirmation really do go a long way, especially if you're trying to go for someone that you like. And that's to say that there are some sentiments in romance anime that I still hold dear that I will sometimes use for trying to date or go on dates. Those sort of sentiments would be not the ones where it's all giving, It's more of the idea of trying to make a memory with someone, whoever it may be, even if you just stop talking to them, even after what was said and done was said and done. I value the memory over any sort of gift that anyone could give, because the memory never fades, it never ages, it never rusts, if that makes sense. But I will say that romance anime has taught me a lot about how to not be so awkward, because most recently I watched this anime called The Experienced You and The Inexperienced Me, which was a really good anime, and I talked about it in a past video, which really warmed my heart, and there were many hardships and trials that made me laugh and giggle because they're teenagers in that anime, and in a sense I saw my past self just being present in that anime. It just made me giggle and laugh to see how far I've come as a person, how much I value just the sense of happiness and love, because it's always taken for granted these days. People want to look for the most ideal thing that they see in life, which is reference influenced from all kinds of social media couples that you see nowadays, or whoever it may be. That's like the idealized relationship for someone to have, when really it's just making memories. That's my idealized interpretation of how romance has affected my dating life throughout my entire life. I don't necessarily rely on that much as I used to anymore. It's always fun looking back at how it's affected my life, but also has made me grow in many ways than one. Did you let romance anime affect your dating life or whatever it may be? I would definitely like to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this subject of it all. I would like to say that I am still an introvert, even though there's a lot of extroverts that I have met, but I would say that opposites attract, and you never know what lies ahead one day. And that goes for anyone. I have been Noble Oath. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment down below your guys' thoughts and opinions. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.